In 2026, I imagine that Philadelphia high schools look like the Comcast Technology Center. That our young people walk into a school building and there's poetry ticker tape streaming across the ceilings, delicious food. That they have the tallest penthouse view of this city and this world that they know they have every right to invest in, believe in, and shape.
Hi, I'm Danielle DeLeo Kim, Executive Director of Philadelphia 250. In 2026, the country will commemorate the 250th anniversary of American independence. So I invite you to listen in and get inspired to take action as Philadelphia 250 brings together thought leaders and change makers to share what those founding promises mean to them now and in the pursuit to 2026.
Hi, I'm Michelle Feldman, the Communications and Engagement Manager for Philadelphia 250. Today, I couldn't be more excited to talk about youth leadership and revolutionary actions with my guests, Ryan Harris from As I Plant This Seed and Samantha Rise from Girls Rock Philly. During this episode of Philadelphia 250's In the Pursuit series, we'll get inspired by the next generation and how they're already leading the way, and we'll talk about how we can help them to do just that.
How you doing? My name is Ryan Harris, founder and CEO of nonprofit organization As I Plant the Seed. We've been running the organization for 8 years now. I'm excited to get more work done. We've accomplished a lot, but we got so much more work to do.
I'm Samantha Rise. My pronouns are they and them, and I am the program director at Girls Rock Philly. We're a music mentoring organization in Philadelphia for girls and women, and also trans and gender expansive youth and adults, building liberatory futures through song and joy.
So I'm going to get this conversation started just by digging a little bit deeper into the work that you both do. So Samantha, can I start with you? You can talk a little bit more about Girls Rock Philly and your programming and what you do every day in order to fulfill that mission of fostering youth leadership and youth voices.
Girls Rock Philly is a music mentoring organization, and while we value musical excellence, it's not our primary goal. We believe that music is a transformative force, that joy is a revolutionary force, and we aspire to use music as a medium to encourage and inspire young folks to turn their volume up, right? To really connect to the issues that are alive for them in their communities, to trust themselves in their leadership, to be solutionary and visionary in terms of tackling those issues, and then collaborating and skill building together through creative processes to experience that feeling of success in creative collaboration, artistic experimentation, fearless expression, self-expression, and also self-determination.
I love that. I love that so much. And Ryan, I can see you over there getting ready to jump in. So I think that there's a lot of overlap here between what you do and what Samantha does. So do you want to talk a little bit more about As I Plant This Seed and how your work started and in some ways how you are fulfilling the same mission in a different way than Samantha and Girls Rock Philly?
Absolutely. So thank you for that, Samantha. And I just want to piggyback because we pretty much do the same thing. We are trying to create a safe place for at-risk youth in the Hunter Park area and surrounding area. We've been in the community since 2012. We started very, very small with back to school events and Christmas events and stuff like that, just to kind of give a boost to the community, bring some hope, help some parents out with some financial situations around Christmas. We started a mentorship program in 2015, and it grew from 8 kids to 70 kids within, I'm gonna say, about a year and a half. And we've been mentoring that many kids for the last 5 years. We teach them things that they're not learning in school about financial literacy, trying to teach them about entrepreneurship, different ways to think outside the box. Don't be confined to the 8-block radius that they live in, and try to think outside of what they've been programmed to do. what people that invested into their life and things that they just haphazardly see over time coming up in these areas. We understand that we have to combat that with actual programs and really real information to help these kids fight through their trauma, help them be the best possible person they can be, push them to their full potential.
I want to throw out this question of what do you think it means for an idea to be revolutionary? And what are some of those revolutionary actions and ideas that you've sort of seen come from, the youth that you work with and your organization? And Ryan, why don't I start with you on that one?
So, um, a lot of the kids, they go on different paths to be successful. Our job is to nurture those pathways, make sure that they have what they need, they're equipped with the tools they need to get through. But the revolutionary ideas come from not so much about how they're going to get to where they're going, but what they're going to do after they get to where they're going with their influence, with the money that they'll be able to raise or be able to make from whatever their venture is. And we just help them create those platforms and continue to push them to their full potential and continue to make them understand the responsibility of influence. And after you gain all of these things from the things that you're doing, when you gain notoriety, how do you make that work for the community? How do you give back to the community through those things, through those efforts of people pushing you to your full potential, making sure you have what you need to get where you go? We just instill those values in them early on from the time they come in.
Yeah. All right, I want to
I
throw
love
that over to
that.
you, Samantha. What does it mean for
Yeah.
you for an action to be revolutionary, and how is that part of what GRP does for the youth that you work with?
Well, I really want to shout out your work, Ryan, because I think that holding
Thank you.
space for young folks to cultivate that spirit, to even have space to think for themselves, to trust what it is that lights them up, and to be encouraged in that way towards their own
Yes.
idea of success. That is revolutionary, right? How much do we kind of like
Hmm.
poke and prod and press young folks into some version of what we think they ought to be? I just really celebrate spaces where young leaders are able to like determine what their leadership looks like
Who they are.
for
Hmm.
themselves. That's totally radical and revolutionary. Yeah, I think that at GRP, how we center revolutionary action is to really like follow curiosity, to allow to allow all of us to really think about the whys of what's happening and to give ourselves the space to explore that, to not know, like to be really courageous in our not having all the answers, and are not necessarily getting everything perfect. We really encourage mistake making, that mistakes and frustration are the birthplace of growth. And there, it's like an absolutely vital space for us to find ourselves in that sort of wider circle instead of repeating that kind of um, same feedback loop.
So I want to touch on what you just said there about creating the world that we want, and that is absolutely something that Philadelphia 250 thinks about an awful lot as we think about, yeah, as we think about 2026 when we mark the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. So that's going to bring me to my next question, which is, what are your hopes and dreams for 2026? What is this world that we want to create, and we want to help our youth to have a voice in creating? So I'm going to turn to you, Ryan, and I'm going to ask, what are your hopes for the city and for the country for 2026, especially when it comes to helping youth to lead the way?
Well, I'm hoping and I'm praying that with all that's going on today with the social climate, and a lot of people are starting to wake up, or have you, or if you will, starting to grasp what's really going on in this world. And I'm hoping that by 2026, that there will be a big coalition to really help young people and really invest in them, and not just the way we've been investing in them, but they actually, they I mean, they also need financial backing, they need access to, to finances to be able to really, really have a good chance in chasing their dreams. So I'm really hoping by 2026 that, we can get on the ball. We can have a force behind us, like-minded individuals that's trying to change the world through the youth. So I'm just hoping that a lot of people just understand that the youth are our future, and that in 2026 that a lot of those youth that we talk about now won't be that young, and they'll be the leaders, and we need to start investing in them and making sure that we do what we need to do for them to have a true fighting chance, especially where there's a disparity, where there is lack of resources. Yeah, so 2026, I want everybody to get on board with the youth, and really start to push them the way, that they need to be pushed, and, give them a fighting chance. So yeah, 2026, that's where we at with the youth.
I love it. All right, Samantha, 2026.
Mhm.
We're there. What does the world look like? What should it look like?
Yes, this practice of radical imagining is like, it's just I really believe it to be the marrow of the work that we're doing. We got to get in there and get really clear about visioning exactly what the future looks like. So such a practice. The first thing that I think needs to happen in 2026 is that adult folks and folks who've been in positions of power for a long time need to practice rendering ourselves obsolete. We need to practice receiving critical feedback. We need to practice getting out of the way. We need to practice accepting our limitations, normalizing changing our minds when presented with new information and perspectives, and trusting young people. The other question is, what needs to happen? What resources do we need? What systems do we need to create to support and encourage young people to trust their own leadership? Because right now, I think in some senses, a lot of the systems in Philadelphia are failing our young folks, right? And I say that with the most love. And I say it from a place of deep dedication, right? Like nothing is disposable to me. So I offer this critical feedback from a place that I believe that we have the capacity to change that, to transform it. And I know what there is to potentiate in those systems. So in 2026, I see our city as all in on investing full throttle into our young people. In 2026, I imagine that Philadelphia high schools look like the Comcast Technology Center. That our young people walk into a school building and there's poetry ticker tape streaming across the ceilings, delicious food. That they have the tallest penthouse view of this city and this world that they know they have every right to invest in, believe in, and shape.
So, man, I just want to piggyback on something you said that's very important, and I really appreciate that you acknowledging like that the elders or the people that have been running things, they need, we have to get out the way. That is one of the biggest things that we have to do, because we have to allow them the platform to lead as young as they're ready. And as much as we prepare them to be ready, they will be. You know what I mean? So we definitely got to get out the way. We can sit in the back now and just say, hey, I don't think that's a good route down there, but let's figure out how we can do it this way, or y'all come up with a way to figure out, because I know from experience this is not a good one. But let's see what we can do together, how we can come up with a different solution together, instead of us thinking we know it all.
Yeah. There's so much I feel like we could talk about with that. If we are actually cultivating youth leadership, we have to do the work of listening to them. Like the priority is the other way around. You don't report to me, I report to you. At GRP, I'm a glorified key holder. I unlock the door, I order pizza, and I listen to genius, right? I get to listen to young people who are ready to transform the world. Sometimes I run around in circles and give them high fives, but I am very clear about my position in terms of uh, how I fit into the puzzle. And I'm just, I get to be the hype person, and again, like use those resources.
Samantha, you spot on mentoring. You are top mentor. You hear me? Like, you so spot on. Everything you saying makes so much sense. It's exactly the way I treat my kids. I'm telling you, that is the formula. That is the formula. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, right back at you. This is a mutual feels fest.
I love it. I'm Michelle Feldman for Philadelphia 250's In the Pursuit, and I hope that you were as inspired as I was by this conversation about youth leadership.
We actually have to establish shared humanity because prospering is a human right, but we won't get to that if we cannot see each other in our humanity and bear witness to that and work collectively to a strong sense of loving shared humanity.